Now the guys at Umrex have just given me a perfect excuse to take a look at one of my favourite CO2 pistols, because they've just launched a new version of the Beretta, the M9A3, and it's full metal. Hello and welcome to AAR on Air. CO2 pistol time today, and a perfect excuse to get out a bag of Berettas for a blast in various forms to highlight the new M9A3 full metal. There are a couple of things to own up to right from the start here. Firstly, I am a fan of the M92 and have been for such a long time. It was indeed one of my first CO2 pistols that I ever bought, and would be one of the last I'd ever get rid of. Secondly, I do like reviewing and indeed using Umrex pistols. They are up there with the best of the CO2 pistol manufacturers with regard to quality and ultimate longevity. It is quite rare to have one go wrong. It can happen, as with anything, but it is pretty rare. Certainly, in my experience. They are a German company, and even though they may from time to time have these made elsewhere, they still seem to maintain that German quality requirement. Recently, I reviewed the FDE M9A3 and I really like it, but the Puritans and the more traditional of us often prefer the gun to resemble its initial production colour, which was black. After saying that, my all-time favourite has to be this one in nickel and wood. Now, I wouldn't class myself as a blingy person, but this has a classy feel to its bling, and I absolutely love it. One of these days I will own one, when all these new guns that are coming out stop tempting me, that is. That said, the first one I bought was the pellet version that has the usual Umrex 8-round pellet magazine, which simply drops in the middle. Now, these 8-round magazines are pretty simple to load and very reliable, and if you have a few Umrex guns, then you're likely, a little bit like me, to have loads of these lying around. The great thing about this one is that it fires pellets, so less ricochet possibilities, and it should be more accurate. But there is something missing, and that has to be the feel. You see, the weight is there, but there is no kick or blowback, and it just leaves that all-important interaction missing. So along came the M9A3 in BB form, and lo and behold, they had the blowback action that was so missing from the pellet version. But it didn't have that all-important weight about it to finish that overall feel. Now there is the 92A1 in black, and that does have the weighty feel to it, but no moderator threaded end. Choose it or pick it? Well, they made the FDE version in part metal and part polymers, and then they saw the light and introduced the all metal version, and the feel just vastly improved. Now they've brought out the M9A3, and it has all the benefits of its forerunners and fills that feel gap, and it has the moderator fitting, so to speak. Moving all the others to one side for now, and looking at this new version, the specs are: the overall length is 225mm with a 112mm barrel, and tops the scales at a handful of powerhouse feel of 108 kilograms, and you do feel every gram of that in the hand. It has an 18-round magazine and a claimed velocity of 130 meters per second, which equates to a maximum of around 426 feet per second. Let's do a quick walk around, shall we? From the front, the first thing you notice is the protruding barrel to be able to fit a silencer, moderator, suppressor. This is threaded to allow fitment, but it's important to let you know that this is a left-handed thread, and as such, silencer options will actually be limited. Back and below this is the under barrel rail for those all-important accessories, including sighting aids and torches, etc. This is all metal, as we've said, with only the grips being polymer based, which is just as it should be for warmth and comfort. The finish to all of this is quite simply typical Umarex, with its normal expected high quality. The top slide, as we have said, does just that. It is worth highlighting here just how stiff it felt when I first tried to cock this, and at which point I thought this is going to be a struggle to blow back because of the firmness. Well, no, it does blow back and overcomes that firmness with a really strong blowback feel. Nice. The sights are open and fixed front and rear and have white dots to aid sighting. Below the rear is the dual-sided safety for operating left or right-handed. Forward facing for fire, the red dot is then visible, and down for safe. The safety can only be applied if the gun has been cocked, otherwise, well, it isn't fireable anyway. The slide is removable for field stripping and is done by dropping out the heavyweight magazine using the release button on the grip. Then press the button on the right hand side, which will allow you to turn the release cam on the left hand side. The slide will then simply slide forward and off the rail. Refitting is simply the reverse. Slide back onto the top, turn the cam, and you're done. This has got to be one of the simplest stripping guns I've used. Let's have a look at that magazine, shall we? To load the CO2, it simply needs the screw on the bottom of the magazine, undoing with the supplied hex key, drop in your CO2 and then retighten just firm enough to pierce the capsule. It's always a good idea to use a little drop of silicone oil on the end first to help prolong the life of your seals. Once this is done, it's time to fill it with the BBs of your choice. Simply pull down on the spring, keeping track of how many nails you break. Lock this spring into place on the cutout, then load in your 18 rounds through the cutaway. Once you've got 18 all loaded, simply pull back again, release the spring and let it take up the tension. Return back to the gun and you're ready to fire. Okay, let's just drop this over the Chrono then, shall we? Well, using the standard steel BBs, which are around 5.37 grains, it saw 360 feet per second, which equates to 1.55 foot-pounds or 2.1 joules. Now that does fall slightly short of the claimed figures, but of course velocity is entirely dependent on weight of the projectile. So let's just give it a go with the lighter plastic 4.5mm BBs, which are a lightweight 2.02 grains. Well, that saw 522 feet per second, which is much faster, but naturally the power level is not likely to be high, and it actually equates to 1.22 foot-pounds or 1.66 joules. So it can achieve the claimed figures. Yes, depending on the ammo, of course, being used. I did try this with several different types of BBs to see how it fared. copper coated, all lead, and of course the Dust Devils. And it pretty much coped with all of them, but wasn't overly happy with the copper coated Accu BBs. And it would probably, and personally, I would probably give them a miss on this particular pistol. The point here is that it is quite possible to cut down those ricochet issues with BBs if you don't have a funnel trap or the like by using some deforming ammo. With that information then, let's get some paper targets out and see what the grouping is like at 10 metres outdoor. That's a pretty windy day really to be trying to do anything outside, but shooting out 10 metre with what is just a BB gun, be a really nice replica of it anyway, but here we go. Out. You need plenty of gas, you need plenty of BBs, and you'll have plenty of fun. Not bad for a smoothbore BB CO2 pistol, but this is more of a plinker than a target gun, as we always state. Now I like it, but I would say that because I'm an M92 fan, as I've already said. Looks like Umarex have definitely done it again in my eyes and produced another high quality CO2 pistol and extended their already quite vast Beretta range at the same time. The full cost of this full metal version, well, it retails at around £205 UK, which for this level of quality is not overly expensive in my opinion. Now at this point I get asked to convert that price into all kinds of currencies, dollars, yens, euros, etc. Well, I don't do it because the rate changes daily and they often have different shipping costs in different countries, which makes it a complete pointless exercise really. In sum up, this is a quality item and beautifully made. We all have our favourite styles and replicas, so it may not be for everyone. But for some of us, the world just got a little bit better. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review. If you have, please give us the old thumbs up, subscribe, share and click the alarm notification bell. Join in with the chats and comments on the platforms below. If you fancy something from the pretty big merchandise site that Mrs. AR runs, then check it out. Of course, thank you as always to Vector Air for getting hold of this little beauty for me to review. Most of all, a big thank you to you guys for watching. Please stay safe and shoot safe. And I'll see you next week, hopefully. Bye for now.